At the beginning of the story, we see John standing with his brother Peter at the railway station, anxiously waiting for his wife to return. As soon as the train arrives, Peter's wife Mary and their son Kristen step off. John is overjoyed to see them after so many years, and he proudly introduces them to Peter before they head home together. Peter explains he has some work in the city and will be late in returning. When they sit in the bullock cart, John tells the couple they only need to get down at the next city. But suddenly, the carriage owner arrives, saying there's been a mistake. He asks John's family to step down, replacing them with two recently released criminals, Paul Delaru and his partner, Lester. Seeing this, John becomes uneasy but decides to stay quiet, hoping they'll part ways at the next stop. That evening, when Paul and Lester get drunk, John tries to distract Kristen by telling him about their new home. Kristen asks if there will be animals, and John reassures him that even if there are, they will hunt them together. Meanwhile, Paul turns his attention to Mary, offering her alcohol. She refuses, but Paul insists, claiming it's a local ritual. Reluctantly, John tells her to take a sip, and she obeys. Paul then mocks her, saying it's good she doesn't speak much. His own wife had her tongue cut out by a bandit years ago. As Mary wipes sweat from the heat, Paul begins harassing her, sliding his hand into her dress. John warns him to back off, but Lester immediately points a gun at him. Paul grabs Mary, taunting John that he is powerless. Desperate, John whispers to Mary in Danish, telling her to bite Paul's ear. She does, giving John a chance to grab Lester's gun. He orders Kristen to pick up the second weapon, but before the boy can act, Lester seizes him and holds a knife to his throat. He threatens to kill the family unless John gets off the carriage. Helpless, John is thrown out and left behind. John chases after them, but fails to keep up. When he finally reaches home, he is devastated to find Kristen's lifeless body lying on the road. Crushed, he carries his son's body on his shoulder and continues searching for Mary. Along the way, he finds two more corpses, including the coachman's. Picking up the coachman's gun, John shoots Lester dead. Paul flees into the forest, begging for mercy and swearing he never touched Mary. But John, consumed with rage, shows no mercy and kills him too. When he finally opens the carriage, he finds Mary's body inside, raped and murdered. The next morning, Peter arrives at John's house and grows suspicious after spotting horses outside. Entering cautiously, he finds John weeping beside the bodies of Mary and Kristen. When Peter asks who did this, John replies they were strangers he had never seen before. Overcome with grief, the two brothers embrace, clinging to each other in sorrow. Meanwhile, news of Paul's death reaches Henry Delaru, Paul's ruthless brother. Furious, Henry rides into town with his men and confronts the mayor. The mayor apologizes, insisting no townsman was involved. But when Delaru learns Paul was among the dead, his rage explodes. He demands the sheriff catch the killer within 2 hours. When told it's impossible, Delaru coldly declares he will then execute two innocent townsfolk as punishment. Terrified, the mayor selects an old woman and a disabled man, promising the woman that her grandson Dan will be cared for. But Delaru shoots both in cold blood, and then, to everyone's horror, executes two more people, claiming the first two were not enough. He raises the townsfolk's protection tax from $8 to $10 a month, forcing them into submission. That evening, Paul is buried. Henry vows to Paul's widow, Madeline, that he will avenge his brother and rule the town with her. But Madeline, disgusted by his words, demands he stop. Meanwhile, John and Peter quietly bury Mary and Kristen. Broken by grief, yet fueled by vengeance, they decide to leave and head west. The next day, when they arrive in town, their sharpshooting skills quickly draw attention. A woman who saw John at the station suspects them and informs the sheriff. Peter then visits Dan at his store, only to learn Delaru murdered his grandmother. When Peter offers to sell some skins, Dan realizes they might be the ones who killed Paul. He asks if they can shoot, and Peter replies they can. Dan urges them to fight back, but Peter refuses, saying he learned in the war never to fight a battle you're bound to lose. Elsewhere, John tries selling his land to the mayor. The mayor offers only $150, explaining that Delaru's threats have lowered property value. He hints that once the killer is caught, prices might rise again. When John learns Paul Delaru was the man he killed, he quickly sells the land at a loss and hides the money in his shoes. Meanwhile, Delaru meets businessmen from a powerful oil company. They warn him that brutal tactics won't work forever, urging him to act civilized. Delaru assures them that if left alone, he can clear the land within 3 weeks. As John prepares to leave town, armed villagers surround him. He begs the sheriff to release Peter, but the sheriff refuses, saying Peter broke a deputy's jaw and must face punishment. The sheriff explains that Delaru once was a good man, but the war twisted him. He also tells John that if he hadn't killed Paul, the others would still be alive. Apologizing, the sheriff insists he cannot intervene. Soon after, Delara's men arrive, dragging John out. One of them asks, "So you're a soldier? Who did you fight against?" John replies, "The Germans." Without warning, the man punches him brutally, leaving John badly injured. After this, they take John to their base, tie him with ropes, and hang him outside Delara's house, leaving him to die under the scorching sun. Soon after, Delara brings Madeline in front of John and says, "This is the man who killed your husband." Without hesitation, John replies, "Your husband raped my wife and brutally murdered my child. He deserved it." Delara refuses to hear a single word more. He strikes John and warns, "Soon, you'll realize what you're made of." His punishment is merciless, leaving John tied up without food or water, burning under the sun. As hours pass, John's condition worsens, and vultures begin circling above. That afternoon, the mayor visits Delara's house. At first, it seems he's there to help John, but his true intentions are soon revealed. He casually calls Delara by his real name and then, shockingly, asks if he can take John's shoes. Henry allows it, laughing, and we realize there's a hidden connection between Henry and the mayor. Instead of helping, the mayor steals John's shoes along with the money inside, warning him that he'll be killed soon. Meanwhile, Peter is still locked in jail. When the sheriff leaves for church, he orders the deputy marshal to guard him. Peter seizes the moment, taunting the marshal with harsh insults about his broken teeth and ugly face, provoking him until the furious deputy charges at him. In that instant, Peter overpowers, kills him, and escapes. Back at Delara's camp, he shows no grief for his brother Paul's death. Instead, he sets his eyes on Madeline, treating her as his possession. That night, he forcefully assaults her, whispering that he had long awaited this moment and cruelly reminding her of the horrors she faced as a child. He promises that once everything is over, he'll make her the Queen of New Orleans. Madeline's silent tears and bruised face speak louder than words. Not long after, heavy rain falls. Peter sneaks into Delara's base to rescue John, who is weak, drenched, and barely able to stand. 2 guards watch over him. Peter waits for the right moment. When one of the guards enters, he discovers a body inside. Before he can react, Peter ambushes and kills him. Madeline, watching silently from the window, says nothing, her silence showing she can no longer endure this life. Peter quickly cuts John's ropes and frees him. On their way out, they kill 2 more men at the gate. The gunfire alerts Delara, who fires at them, but Peter escapes with John. As they ride away, John's strength fails, and he falls from the horse. Thinking fast, Peter carries him to safety among the rocks, hands him a gun, and says, "Stay here. I'll draw them away." Sacrificing himself, Peter becomes bait for Delara and his men. The next morning, John wakes to find his brother Peter's lifeless body, brutally killed. His grief fuels his rage. John vows to avenge both his family and Peter. Meanwhile, Delara returns to his home only to find all his men dead and Madeline gone, along with the money earned from oil. Madeline boards a train, trembling with both fear and hope of freedom. But before she can escape, Delara's men stop the train and capture her. Furious, Delara slaps her and declares that his brother saved her once, but now she must die. His right-hand man suggests using her for the night instead of killing her immediately. Delara agrees, ordering them to enjoy and then slit her throat. Elsewhere, John, wandering weak and thirsty, arrives at Miss Whistler's house. At first, she drives him away with a gun, but seeing his condition, she offers him food and water. She explains that Delara's men killed her husband and warns John to leave before he too is killed. But John refuses. He must have his revenge. That night, John storms into the mayor's house, demands his shoes and money back, and forces him to confess. Terrified, the mayor admits he worked for Delara, buying land from townsfolk and handing it over to him so Delara could seize control for the oil beneath it. Disgusted, John locks the mayor in one of his own coffins, leaving him to die. Arming himself with weapons from Dan's shop, John prepares for his final battle. He sends the mayor's corpse in a coffin to Delara, provoking his men. As they burn it, Dan sets fire nearby to distract them, while John ambushes others from hiding, killing them one by one. The fight intensifies. Dan climbs the roof and shoots down one of Delara's men, but another discovers him and fatally shoots him inside Madeline's room. A fire breaks out as kerosene spills, engulfing one of Delara's men. John emerges from hiding, killing more of Delara's men. But in the chaos, he is shot and badly wounded. Just as Delara is about to finish him off, Madeline arrives and shoots Delara, giving John the chance to stand and blow off his skull with his gun. At last, Delara is dead. John and Madeline, both broken by loss, point their guns at each other in silence. But instead of continuing the cycle of violence, they lower their weapons, understanding the pain they both carry. The sheriff later arrives, thanking John for saving the city. Shocked to see Madeline alive, He warns John not to take her, but John, firm in his decision, tells him she will stay with him. Grateful yet defeated, the sheriff returns with his men. Finally, John and Madeline mount their horses and ride west, leaving behind the ruins of Creek City. And with that, the story comes to an end. So that's it. Hope you enjoy the story. Subscribe and press the bell icon for more videos.